Hey, what's up guys? My name is Caleb Grant. Today we're going to discuss a subject that really hits home with me because it's something I can relate to at my current age, which is 17. So today we're going to talk about 17-year-olds being tried as adults. In the state of Texas, 17-year-olds are to be tried as an adult. 10 to 16 is juvenile, 17 and up is tried as an adult. Now, the problem that I have with this is that at 17 years old, if I'm allowed to be tried as an adult, why don't I have any adult privileges? This is some of the things I can't do at 17. I can't possess alcohol, can't possess tobacco, can't possess cigarettes, can't smoke cigarettes, can't use tobacco, can't get tattoos. I can watch a rated R movie and I can be tried as an adult. I also can't even register to vote. But yet I'm held accountable as someone who's 30. I'm expected to behave the same as anybody ranging from the age of 18 to 150 years old. I'm expected to behave as an adult, but I'm not an adult, and I don't get any adult privileges. And quite frankly, it's ridiculous and doesn't make any sense. Texas being one of only 10 states that's like this, by the way. So I'm going to give you a real-world scenario of something tragic that happened because of this 17 and up rule. 8 years ago, there was a man named Lawrence Trent. And when you're a sex offender, once you become registered, all someone has to do is type online registered sex offenders. And every sex offender is on there. Their face, their name, their address, all that kind of stuff. So Lawrence Trent would get these guys' addresses, and he thought of himself as a hero or a vigilante, and he'd go try to kill these sex offenders to rid the world of sex offenders. He wasn't successful in all his attempts, but one of the ones that he was successful on is it's quite intimidating. He stabbed a young man to death who was in his mid-20s because he was a registered sex offender. Okay, well, let's ask ourselves why this guy was a sex offender. When he was 17, he had sex with a 15-year-old. And I know what you're thinking, 2 years. Okay, wow, that's kind of an age gap. Well, it was not even 2 years. He was a junior in high school. The young lady he had sex with was a sophomore in high school. A junior and a sophomore. That's a crime. And it's punishable by the adult standards. So, at 17, this young man became a sex offender. Registered for the rest of his life. Registered for the rest of his life as a sex offender. All his information is placed online. Lawrence Trent gets a hold of it. Finds out where he lives. Goes and stabs a man to death because he's a registered sex offender. Had this 17 and up rule not even been in play, Lawrence Trent wouldn't even known the guy's name. He wouldn't have had his address, he wouldn't have killed him, we wouldn't be talking about his death. But because of a stupid rule like that, he's dead. And that's just one of many scenarios. You can go research all day long and just find countless numbers of just dumb things like that happening for a dumb law like this. And we're going to talk about what happens to 17-year-olds when they do go through the adult system. This is one of them. Not only when you're arrested at 17, and this is backed by research and studies, mind you, you are more likely to become a hardened criminal and repeat that cycle of being in and out of jail just by going to jail at 17. That increases your chance dramatically by being a hardened criminal and just going in and out, repeating that cycle. And this is almost a guaranteed, almost a fact. Almost every 17-year-old that's incarcerated will experience some form of sexual assault, whether it be, rape, touching of the private anatomy, or whether it's just physical assault. Because 17-year-olds aren't mature, they're not grown, they're not men. They can't fight back. Okay, most of them are guys like my size. We can't fight 35-year-old men, 28-year-old men. We can't do that. But yet this is for a low-level misdemeanor. We can be placed in an adult penitentiary and have that stuff happen to us. Because we're expected to behave as adults, but we're not adults. Okay, it's absolutely ridiculous. And another thing is, the majority of 17-year-olds that are arrested are for low-level misdemeanors. Now, I understand if you want to try a 17-year-old who's committed a violent crime as an adult, perfectly understandable, you know. We're old enough to know not to murder someone. Okay, I understand that. But the majority of the arrests made are low-level misdemeanors. Little stuff, as minuscule as it gets. And oftentimes, if they're not incarcerated, they're either placed on adult probation or incarcerated, and then when they get out, they're placed on adult probation. Studies reveal that those who are in juvenile probation, as opposed to adult probation, are 18% less likely to become repeat offenders after 3 years. 18%. Just because one is in adult probation and one is in juvenile probation. And you know why that is? Because in juvenile probation, you can still work part-time. You can still attend school. You can do stuff that kids do. No, for adult probation, that's not the case at all. It makes it really hard to find a job. It makes it really hard to get accepted into any kind of school. And you're expected to behave as an adult. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, and it's just stunning to me. And I hope that after hearing some of these scenarios and statistics, these are just a few, go research them yourself and find out. I hope you can understand where I'm coming from. I mean, this is clearly just another extraordinary way that our government's found a way to contradict themselves. Okay, and you can come to two conclusions on this. Either the 17 and up rule needs to be dropped and they need to keep it at 18, or 17-year-olds need to be treated as adults in all circumstances and be allowed to do adult things. Okay? We should be allowed to go to bars, allowed to go to clubs, allowed to smoke tobacco, allowed to smoke cigarettes, allowed to dip snuff, chew, get tattoos. We should be registered to vote, because you can't just pick and choose. One agenda wants 17-year-olds, they have to be kids, they can't do all these things that grown-ups can do, but if they break the law, they're expected to be treated as adults and handled accordingly. And then one agenda, wants them to be treated as adults. It just doesn't make any sense. You can't pick and choose, okay? It's a very gray area for 17-year-olds, and it's only like this for 1 year of your life, but it ruins a lot of people's lives. That 1 year can completely change the outcome and the course of someone's life, and that's just something to think about, I hope this has kind of helped you open your eyes a little bit to this problem. It doesn't seem very major to most people because it kind of goes under the radar, but it's something that's discussed at legal committees often because it's wrong, honestly. It's just wrong, I hope you decide for yourself, though. Thank you.